Anderlecht Veterinary School. The last remaining unrenovated building, out of the 19, that used to make up a veterinary complex, in Anderlecht, Brussels, has stood deserted since the 90s. We're thinking it remains unrenovated, because crews are just straight up terrified to even go near this place. Its deserted, crumbling halls lead to rooms that are each full of more horrifying stuff than the last. Oh, hand-blown bottles of questionable fluids, syringes and other old, rusty medical equipment, and that's just the beginning. The main attractions are the animal heads and brains and assorted parts stuffed into jars throughout the building, which has come to appropriately be called the Horror Labs. Some parts are recognizable, some are not. Holy Land, USA. Holy Land, USA, was once an 18-acre theme park in Waterbury, Connecticut, that at its peak in the 1960s and 70s saw upwards of 40,000 visitors per year. It was closed for renovation in 1984. Its owner, John Greco, died in 1986, and nobody has been sure what to do with it since. The property has been watched over by a group of nuns in the intervening decades, while it deteriorates more and more, and just gets more and more disturbing. As if the crumbling statues, dark and still structures, and obvious vandalism don't get your "let's get the hell out of here" meter in the red. There's also the fact that a teenager was murdered on these deserted grounds in 2010. While police reports have shown instances of trespassing dropping, that really just means there are fewer people around, making the place even more isolated and terrifying. Danvers State Insane Asylum. Danvers State Hospital in Massachusetts is old enough to have been variously known as the State Lunatic Hospital, Danvers Lunatic Asylum, and other such lovely monikers. In its most crowded period during the 1920s and 30s, there were controversies over its rumored use of shock therapy, drugs and frontal lobotomies. In fact, it may have been the birthplace of that procedure. Since its closure in 1992, it has fallen into a state of severe creepiness. And yes, disrepair. It was the setting for the excellent 2001 horror film Session 9, and did a lot of the heavy lifting in generating a truly dreadful atmosphere. While there have been efforts to renovate the area, the spirits have not been kind to those efforts. In 2006, some structures were demolished, and apartment buildings put in their place. In April 2007, all of those buildings, and several construction trailers went up in flames. Any efforts at renovation since then have largely stalled.